The following video provides examples of how early childhood through secondary teachers can use the school campus to teach STEM and next generation science standards, practices, and content. What have you been observing?
The pattern of the bricks and how they're offset for strength and how the roof is slanted so the water can run and it won't stay on the top of the roof.
We got twigs. The shapes that we can find in nature.
Ooh, what are they funny? We're always ready.
Green kite. That's how she. But I did it from a different angle.
Oh, I cut a dry one and then a green one.
And when you go back in the classroom, what will you do?
Did they come from the same area? Why is that one dry? Why is this one still green? What can we do with the dry ones? They can probably
Like porous surface, and this actually felt a little rougher, but it was interesting, just the difference between plastic and the drawing really didn't reflect.
we planted tomatoes.
Kind of weird. So I looked at it again and then I realized that the top layer, like the predominant petals, also have 5. So all of these flowers have 5 petals regardless of the species or the size, which I think is really significant for some reason. I don't know what that is.
I see a bug.
I was gonna say too.
Yeah, I see a bug.
Piece of the bark from the tree, and then I measured it in inches and centimeters, and it's 6 inches and 15 centimeters. So I'm really smart.
What did you discover? Tell her what you learned just then.
Bueno, que por ahí respiran los helechos. Míralo con el microscopio.
La más pequeña es el ADN de nosotros y la más grande tiene la misma forma y es de la galaxia.
Happens there. Let's see if we can get some structure coming out. I can't guarantee because it uses with kinetic sand. It may or may not work.
It's like 3.5, 4. Para medir algo.
We're picking stuff that we can use for our house, or a beach house, in our case a beach house, that would stand in the seawater and the rain and the sun.
Okay. Like the crayon.
Oh, I like the dirt.
Yeah.
Who's the actual bone?
Oh, I think this fell under the actual whisker.
Oh, let me see yours. It's all scrunched up. It's like almost 3.
Like
and then it goes.
What did you just do?
We measured the width of the bench.
Do you think it is?
I think it's a piece of bark that the tree didn't want anymore.
This is a journal. This is her hexagon.
Is it a peer review?
Yes, it is. I'm doing a peer review, and she has a blue and a black feather. And these are, this I believe is a maple leaf. This is a spent flower, and here are the leaves that came off of it. And these are the leaves from a rose flower.
A rock, a piece of wood, I don't know.
Actually, it's a mushroom.
And what did you notice?
The lines on the mushrooms, the patterns on the mushroom.
Here we got, we did nature rubbing, bark, and then we did the brick, which was human made.
These are actually in the inside.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
so
I know they drop down like
right.
Cooler, too.
Get a dead ant. A dead ant.
4.6, minimum 56.
Trying to get it where it's, but I'm waiting for a breeze.
What did you discover when you were out there? What did you do?
It was a 10 miles per hour when it was open field at max that I saw. And then in between buildings when it was 6 feet by 9 feet, 54 square feet, it was 50 miles per hour. And then 6 by 7 feet, which is 42 square feet, was jumped up to 17. So.
Our textbooks, but they're big. But they do the same thing.
Top up bottom.
one, yeah, it doesn't have the same as the one I know.
It's the spider's house. What kind of house it is?
You know, they mention the spider's house in the Quran. There's a whole chapter of the Quran called the spider.
It says that it's because the spiders build up on something that is not solid. Like I was just mentioning that when the spiders hides itself, it doesn't really go on the whole like the other insects we are observing, but rather it goes on her like.
It's very apparent, yes.
Yeah, you can see it.
So with it, I don't think that because they even feel different. So if you feel them, one is has a much thicker consistency, and it's this one is exact and smoother. This one's a little rougher and thinner. So I think everybody should.
Which is great.
Cool. Yeah, it's just, you know, you have to play around with it.
As the flower was on the plant, they all had 8 petals on them.
Look at mine, it's horrible. On the lines of the building, that I totally didn't even realize the bright yellow half circle there.
In nature and curves in man-made, and I thought I was going to have more of a challenge finding curves in man-made, but I did find a lot in automobiles and things that they use just for decoration. If it's meant for structure, you're going to have more of the straight lines and stuff.
It's a good possibility.
Let's get a little focus on one of these. Maybe let's turn
It's going to be different than distilled, different than, say, bottled.
Right. And I think that we might need to do like a composition, like look at it and say, what we...
The pH.
Can you do pH with a dry sand, or you gotta add water?
I measured the water. What happens is right now, it's also dying out. Just sprayed it with the another borehole.
That should be one.
That should be some. That's probably some eggs on the inside of there.
Types of snails. Here on this leaf, I think that's a worm right here. And then on the oak tree leaves.
Up this side, down this side.
Wow, look at that.
I think that's an immature one. I mean, he was tiny.